Have you ever thought about this? What if everything you believe about aging, family, and security is completely wrong? What if the very thing you think will protect you, staying close to your children as you grow older, makes you more vulnerable, helpless, and even resentful? Sounds uncomfortable, doesn't it? But in this video, I'm going to reveal why staying too close to your children in your later years may not be the safety net you expect, and what that could mean for your relationships and your sense of independence. As we dive deeper, I'll share insights on how proximity doesn't always guarantee emotional connection, and why the constant reliance on your children can slowly erode your dignity, leaving you feeling powerless. By the end of this video, you'll understand why maintaining your autonomy and finding your path can create stronger, healthier relationships with your children and loved ones. You don't want to miss out on understanding why true emotional connection is built on respect, not obligation, and why independence in your later years can not only give you back your self-worth but also give your family the space to appreciate you as an individual. If you care about preserving your dignity and making the most out of your later years, stay tuned. This video will change how you view aging, family, and connection forever. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. When parents decide to move closer to their children, believing that their physical presence will naturally strengthen the bond they've shared over the years, they often make the mistake of assuming that proximity alone is enough to maintain, or even deepen, their relationship. The truth, however, is much more complex. Relationships, especially those between parents and adult children, don't flourish just because the distance between them shrinks. They require mutual effort, genuine respect, and a willingness to stay emotionally connected. When parents make themselves too available or too involved, their presence can begin to feel like an expectation rather than a gift. What once seemed like a special visit can gradually become a routine check-in. Conversations, once rich with meaning, start to feel like a forced formality, and the warmth that was once a natural part of the relationship begins to dissipate. Instead of deepening the bond, constant proximity can lead to emotional disengagement. The connection begins to fade, and what should have been a joyful closeness turns into an almost mechanical interaction. One of the most painful consequences of this is the shift in relationship dynamics. When children are young, parents are the caregivers, the authority figures, the ones who make the important decisions. Over time, as the children grow into adulthood, the roles start to reverse. However, when elderly parents move closer to their grown children, they may unintentionally place themselves in a position of dependency, which can be incredibly hard to accept. The child, now an adult with a family of their own and an array of responsibilities, might feel an unspoken pressure to take care of their parents in ways that feel more burdensome than fulfilling. The relationship, once built on mutual love and respect, can begin to feel like an obligation, a duty that slowly erodes the emotional warmth between them. It's heartbreaking to witness, as both parents and children start to feel the strain. What was once a relationship of admiration and shared affection transforms into a quiet, unspoken sense of duty. When elderly parents live nearby, there's often an assumption, sometimes explicit, but often just quietly lingering, that they'll always be available. Whether it's for babysitting grandchildren, running errands, or simply being there for companionship, their role in the family can shift. They may move from being cherished family members to a kind of unpaid labor force, always on call for whatever is needed. This shift can breed frustration on both sides. Parents may begin to feel undervalued, like they are no longer seen as the loving, supportive figures they once were, but as mere helpers. Children, in turn, may feel intruded upon, as if their parents' presence has become more about fulfilling family obligations than about being a source of joy and connection. It's a subtle shift, but one that's deeply painful. True emotional connection has nothing to do with physical proximity. It's about respect, it's about meaningful communication, and it's about preserving a sense of individuality within a relationship. Ironically, sometimes living apart can be what keeps a relationship strong. It ensures that the time spent together is cherished, intentional, and appreciated for what it is, rather than becoming a heavy obligation that no one fully acknowledges. For elderly parents, relying too heavily on their children can lead to a loss of dignity, stripping them of their sense of autonomy and power. No one wants to feel like they're a burden, but over time, if their children become their primary source of emotional and physical support, it can chip away at their self-esteem. Independence, above all else, is what gives a person dignity. It's the ability to make one's own decisions, to control one's own life, and to feel as though one is still a contributing, meaningful individual. But once that independence starts to slip away, even if it's out of necessity, it's like losing a part of oneself. Many elderly parents might think that moving closer to their children will provide them with security, a safety net to catch them when they fall. While that's true in emergencies, it's not a sustainable way to live every day. Becoming too reliant on children for companionship, for errands, for financial support, can quietly strip away the sense of self-worth that took a lifetime to build. When elderly parents start to rely more and more on their children, they begin to feel like they are no longer seen as capable, independent people. Instead, they begin to feel like burdens, like obligations that their children now have to bear. This shift is often subtle. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's profoundly painful. It can start with small things: asking for a ride instead of driving, asking for help with groceries, or seeking approval before making a simple decision. These small shifts, while seemingly innocent at first, gradually accumulate and create a space where the parent feels that they no longer have control over their own life. The most painful part of this dynamic, however, comes when children begin to make decisions for their parents, rather than with them. When children assume a caretaking role too aggressively, treating their parents as though they can no longer make their own choices, it erodes the very foundation of respect that once existed. The parent who once had a voice in the family dynamic now feels invisible, unheard, even as their children take the reins. That's a devastating feeling for anyone, especially when the very people they raised and nurtured now seem to be in control of their lives. In addition, this growing dependence can lead to a deep sense of isolation. When an elderly person relies solely on their children for social interaction, they may slowly begin to withdraw from other aspects of life. Friendships fade, hobbies disappear, and the activities that once brought them joy are left behind. Without these outside connections, their world narrows, and their sense of identity begins to fade. They lose touch with the things that once gave them joy and meaning. It's a sad, quiet erosion of the very essence of who they are. It's heartbreaking to see the person who once had a vibrant, independent life start to shrink, not in size, but in spirit. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As we age, we may begin to feel like spectators in our own lives, passively waiting for our children to acknowledge our existence, to invite us into their worlds. It's a difficult, almost heartbreaking realization that once active, vibrant participants in the fabric of our family, we now feel like mere onlookers. The struggle to maintain dignity in old age requires more than just resilience. It demands a conscious, unyielding effort to hold on to our independence. There are moments when it becomes undeniably harder. Our bodies age, our strength diminishes, but it's in those very moments that our determination to preserve autonomy should shine the brightest. To rely on our children should never be the first option, and certainly not a default one. It should be a last resort, one we turn to only when no other option remains. Because, truth be told, the most powerful and lasting relationships between parents and adult children are grounded not in the weight of obligation, but in the fertile soil of mutual respect and choice. It's only when we are treated as individuals, not just parents, that we begin to feel truly valued and seen. When we hold on to our autonomy, we maintain more than just our independence. We preserve our self-respect, our dignity, and our worth. But perhaps more importantly, it gives our children the opportunity to see us for who we truly are, not as a burden or responsibility, but as someone they can still admire, love, and engage with freely. The truth is, when we begin to rely on them, whether emotionally, financially, or physically, we may not fully grasp the silent weight we place on their shoulders. What begins as an innocent desire for closeness can slowly morph into something else entirely. A quiet, unspoken obligation. This shift isn't malicious, and no one consciously seeks to create it, but over time, it can change the dynamic. A relationship once rooted in love and mutual affection can slowly become a duty that weighs heavily on both sides. This pressure, often unacknowledged, can lead to a quiet resentment that bubbles just beneath the surface. For children, particularly those in the thick of their own lives, building careers, raising families, managing their challenges, the increasing demands of an aging parent can feel suffocating. What started as an act of love, a parent moving closer to stay connected, can begin to feel like a trap. It's not that the love isn't there. It's just that the relationship has changed. When parents expect their children to visit frequently, to offer constant care, or simply to be there more often than they can manage, it creates a pressure that no one seems able to escape from. Even the most well-meaning child, who loves their parent deeply, may begin to feel torn, caught between the need to live their own life and the unspoken demands of their aging parent. This emotional tug-of-war manifests in the smallest, quietest ways. A child may start to feel guilty for not visiting enough, even though they are already overwhelmed by their responsibilities. They may find themselves avoiding calls or shrinking from conversations because each interaction feels like another expectation placed upon them, another duty to fulfill. Meanwhile, the parent, feeling neglected, may not understand why their child isn't as available or as eager to help as they once were. What once felt like a warm, loving connection now feels strained, burdened by frustration, guilt, and disappointment on both sides. And what's perhaps the most tragic part of this situation is that neither parent nor child sets out to create this distance. Parents don't move closer thinking they will burden their children, and children don't begin this phase of life feeling obligated or resentful. It's a slow transformation, where love is gradually overshadowed by the weight of unmet expectations. A parent, once grateful for the closeness, may come to feel entitled to care, to attention, expecting it because they've given so much over the years. Meanwhile, the child, with no ill will in their heart, may begin to offer that care more out of obligation than out of love. The relationship, once a dance of affection and choice, has turned into a transaction, a silent exchange, one that no one truly wanted but that no one knows how to avoid. True, healthy relationships between parents and children are built on freedom. The freedom to be together because we want to, not because we have to. When parents can maintain their independence, to hold on to their own lives, interests, and routines, they give their children the precious gift of choice. The choice to spend time with them, not out of duty but out of genuine love and connection. This freedom allows both sides to breathe, and to find joy in one another's presence without the shadow of obligation hanging over them. It is only when the pressure is lifted, when the weight of expectation is no longer part of the equation, that the relationship can truly flourish, with space for both individuals to grow and connect. When elderly parents move too close to their children, it can, perhaps unknowingly, disrupt the delicate balance of their children's lives. Adult children have built their worlds, careers, families, friendships, and these are all impacted, sometimes subtly, sometimes more overtly when a parent moves into the picture. What was initially intended to be an act of love and closeness can start to feel like an intrusion, an uninvited presence that unintentionally creates tension, rather than the closeness it was meant to nurture. One of the most common and profound disruptions in family dynamics often occurs within marriages. When a parent is physically close to their child, the line between support and overreach can easily blur. The well-intentioned parent, eager to stay involved, may inadvertently insert themselves into the day-to-day lives of their adult children. This might manifest as frequent, unannounced visits, unsolicited advice on everything from child-rearing to household management, or a sense of unspoken expectations to be involved in every decision. At first, these actions may seem harmless, but over time, they can create a palpable tension between the child and their spouse. The spouse, who is already balancing the demanding responsibilities of work, parenting, and the general pressures of life, may start to feel as though they are not the sole focus of their partner's attention. The parent's well-meaning involvement can make the spouse feel like there is an extra person to accommodate or care for. This strain can breed resentment, especially when the child feels torn between their spouse and their parent, attempting to keep both sides happy. In such situations, it's not uncommon to feel trapped between two worlds, unable to satisfy either, and ultimately, that emotional turmoil can erode the foundations of the relationship. Another significant challenge arises when parents, often without realizing it, begin to subtly influence the way their children raise their own families. The desire for closeness and involvement is natural, but when an elderly parent lives nearby, their presence in the lives of grandchildren can inadvertently lead to clashes over parenting. While grandparents can provide invaluable support and wisdom, too much involvement can lead to misunderstandings about the roles each person plays in the family. The grandparent may offer unsolicited opinions or even impose their views on discipline, decision-making, and the structure of daily life. While their intentions may be rooted in love and care, these comments can trigger feelings of frustration, especially when the parents feel undermined. The tension that arises from these differences can ripple throughout the family, ultimately causing more harm than good. What was meant to be a source of joy and connection can instead transform into a minefield of disagreement, making the once harmonious relationship between parent and child more strained and contentious. The dynamics that should have been a source of comfort can become a reminder of unresolved differences and expectations. In some more complicated cases, the presence of an aging parent can even unintentionally hinder their child's emotional and personal growth. The parent, who may feel increasingly isolated or vulnerable, may begin to rely on their child for emotional support, advice, or companionship in a way that unintentionally forces the child back into a role they've long outgrown. Instead of confidently navigating their own adult life, the child may find themselves tethered to their past, constantly pulled back into the caretaker role. This subtle shift can prevent the child from fully embracing their independence or pursuing their dreams and desires. The weight of feeling responsible for a parent's happiness or well-being can overshadow personal aspirations, leaving the child feeling exhausted and conflicted. The child may long to step forward, take risks, and chase opportunities, but the emotional pull of caregiving may hold them back. It's a quiet but powerful barrier to growth, and the longer it goes unaddressed, the harder it becomes to break free. While it's completely natural for parents to want to remain close to their children as they age, it's crucial to recognize that physical closeness and emotional dependency should not come at the expense of a child's independence or well-being. Healthy relationships, whether with children, spouses, or parents, require the delicate balance of space, respect, and the freedom to live life independently. Parents, by respecting the boundaries their children need, can ensure their presence in their children's lives is a source of joy, not a source of stress or obligation. A healthy balance allows both the parent and child to thrive, rather than one being forced to sacrifice their happiness for the other. As parents grow older, there is often a natural, heartfelt desire to lean more on family for companionship and emotional support. It's a stage of life where many parents start to see their children and grandchildren as their central source of fulfillment. Family becomes the lens through which they see their worth, and this is understandable. There is immense love and joy in watching one's family grow and flourish. However, while family will always hold a special place, depending too heavily on children for emotional satisfaction can be detrimental, both to the parent's well-being and to the relationship with their child. Parents need to build lives that are not solely defined by their children. While family connections are vital, personal fulfillment and growth shouldn't be sacrificed for the sake of dependence. Parents need to continue pursuing passions, forming new friendships, and seeking experiences that bring them joy. Without doing so, they risk losing sight of their own identity outside of being a parent or grandparent. They may feel disconnected from themselves, their lives reduced to serving others without any room for their happiness. This type of emotional neglect toward oneself can create a profound sense of emptiness and loneliness. The very fulfillment they seek from their children may remain just out of reach, leaving them feeling more isolated and unfulfilled than ever before. It's a painful realization, but one that underscores the importance of maintaining independence, not just for personal growth but also for the strength and resilience of family bonds. Only by caring for themselves can parents offer the love, support, and wisdom their families truly need, without losing themselves in the process. When parents dedicate their entire lives to raising their children, it's all too easy to lose sight of their own needs and desires. Over time, the responsibility of being a parent can become so deeply ingrained in their sense of self that, without realizing it, they may start placing an overwhelming emotional burden on their grown children. This happens when the parent, with no life outside of the family unit, unconsciously expects constant attention and engagement from their children. It's a form of subtle pressure that doesn't even need to be spoken aloud. The mere expectation that their children will be their primary source of joy and fulfillment can create a heavy, invisible weight on the relationship. Instead of experiencing the natural flow of love and mutual connection, the child may feel trapped in an ongoing cycle of guilt, obligation, and emotional tension. This is where the importance of creating a fulfilling, independent life for oneself comes in. It's not about walking away from the family, but rather about cultivating a sense of joy and purpose outside of being a parent. Having social connections, friendships, and hobbies helps alleviate the emotional pressure on the children. Engaging with peers, people who understand their unique life stages and challenges, provides an outlet for companionship that children simply cannot always give. It's not that children don't love their parents, but their own lives are busy and full. That's why having a rich social network outside the family is so vital for maintaining emotional balance. Moreover, becoming involved in the community, whether through volunteering, joining a local club, or engaging with a religious group, offers a sense of purpose that is essential to one's mental and emotional well-being. These experiences don't just benefit the individual. They help foster a sense of belonging and keep the spirit alive. It's an investment in happiness. And it's not just about what it does for the individual, but what it brings to the family dynamic as well. Pursuing personal interests like learning a new skill, traveling, or simply indulging in a creative passion not only keeps the mind active, but also enriches one's life in ways that make it more interesting and engaging to the people they care about. It allows parents to show up for their children as the vibrant, dynamic people they are, not as dependent figures who are constantly seeking reassurance or company. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Ironically, the more parents focus on nurturing their joy and fulfillment, the stronger their relationship with their children becomes. Visits, rather than feeling like obligations, turn into joyous occasions. Conversations become deeper, more meaningful, and free of the usual tension. Time spent together is not taken for granted but cherished, because it is shared between two independent, happy people. The parent becomes someone the child admires, looks up to, and is genuinely excited to be around, rather than someone they feel they have to look after or accommodate. Living a life of one's own, independent of the constant need for validation from children, doesn't mean distancing from the family. It means maintaining the dignity, respect, and personal satisfaction that form the foundation of healthier, more fulfilling relationships. When a parent has a strong sense of self, love can flourish without the underlying strain of obligation or guilt. This is such a difficult concept for many parents to embrace, especially since they are often deeply intertwined with their identity as caregivers. From the moment a child is born, the desire to protect, nurture, and guide them becomes a fierce instinct. But as those children grow into adults, the most loving thing a parent can do is let them go, not with bitterness, fear, or a sense of loss, but with understanding, trust, and the confidence that their child will return, on their terms, when they are ready. Too often, parents don't realize that by holding on too tightly, emotionally or physically, they can unintentionally weaken the bond with their children. The relationship becomes one of obligation rather than choice. Love, at its purest, is freely given, not forced or demanded. When children feel pressured to engage with their parents out of duty rather than love, the interactions can become strained and repetitive. There's no room for authentic connection when the underlying dynamic is driven by guilt rather than desire. True love, the kind that thrives between parents and children, means allowing space for each individual to live on their terms. It's about recognizing that your child's happiness may look different from your expectations. It means accepting that they need the freedom to make their own choices, build their own lives, and chase their dreams, even if those dreams diverge from your own. This is not a rejection of their parents. Rather, it is a natural part of the cycle of life. Parents who cannot respect this need for independence often push their children away without meaning to. They suffocate the relationship with expectations that feel more like chains than support. In the end, the more parents hold on to their children with unrealistic expectations, the more they risk losing the very connection they cherish the most. As we reflect on everything we've discussed today, I hope you've gained some valuable insights into the delicate balance between maintaining independence and nurturing family relationships. It's clear that by living a fulfilling life outside of our roles as parents, we create space for deeper, more meaningful connections with our children. But what stood out to you? What is one thing you've learned today that you can bring into your own life to strengthen your relationships and live with more purpose? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please take a moment to comment below with one thing you've learned and how you plan to put it into practice. Your feedback helps us grow together in this community. If you like this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content just like this. Let's continue this journey of personal growth together. Thank you for watching.